In 1972, Kenny Mackay was a wee boy. He was lucky enough to get a part in the cult British film The Wicker Man. I have Kenny with me now. Kenny, how did you start off in The Wicker Man?
Well, I saw an advert in the local paper, the Galloway Gazette. They were looking for extras to do film. And I thought, well, I was at school, I thought, oh, that'd be a nice time to spend a few days, you know, so that's how I started.
Love nature and to fear it, and to rely on it, and to appease it where necessary. He brought me up.
He brought you up to be a pagan.
A heathen, conceivably, but not, I hope, an unenlightened one.
What are your memories of the pre-production, all the rehearsals and stuff? Did you get a lot of time to do bits and bobs?
The whole shooting rehearsals and that took a couple of days. We got a small minibus to the Gatehouse of Fleet, just outside Gatehouse of Fleet, which is where the scene was set. And
Is this the dancing around the maypole scene?
yes, it is. And it must have taken at least a dozen takes before they were happy with it. They took some, and then because it was set in the winter and they had to kid on it was summertime, there was false trees and false apple blossom.
Oh, that took a while to set up as well.
Yeah, to make it a sort of proper dress rehearsal. And it was really cold, but they wanted us to wear sort of summer
clothes.
So, after your application for a part, what happened next?
We went up to it was me and my pal, we went up to the council offices in Newton Stewart and talked to several of the production team, and there must have been loads and loads of people wanting to go in the film, and they chatted to us, what's your hobbies and stuff and that, and took it from there. And then about a week later we got a letter saying if it'd been accepted or whatever, you know.
And exactly how old were you?
I would be about 15.
Right. And how could we identify you in the film? What were you wearing? Can you remember?
A stripy top.
Okay.
Stripy t-shirt.
And what about the hair? I imagine like mine.
Oh,
it's changed a bit over the years, so.
Brown and a lot more. Yeah. Very, obviously I was young and I was good looking in the days, you know.
So what about the cast then? How many of them did you meet? The major stars?
Ones I probably met. I met Edward Woodward, Diane Salento, Britt Eklund. Can't ever remember this guy's name.
Christopher Lee?
Christopher Lee, that's it. Yes.
The big man.
Yes.
And who do you think you got on best with?
Lord Summerisle.
Lord Summerisle.
Yes.
And who do you think you got on best with?
Diane Salento I dealt with mostly because she was one we were dealing with, because she was a school teacher where we were in the classroom, and we ran from the maypole into the classroom and she was there. But I was probably more interested because she was married to Sean Connery at the time.
Of course, yes.
I was a big James Bond fan, you know, so yeah.
Was there any sign of Sean Connery? Did he show up on set at all?
No.
Unfortunately not.
Not that sort of, no. But they all stayed in local hotels in Newton Stewart, and most of them took okay. It was Britt Eklund, she was a bit not very pleasant about Newton Stewart and the locals when she left, but she later apologised.
Give us a bit more detail about that. What did she say?
She said we were drunks and it was a midden, nothing to do, and then you know, so but she did apologise later on.
Oh.
But I didn't know what she was doing in the film, you know.
I think we all know now.
Too young, yes, I said.
Decency in public places.
And there is corruption of the young, and now I see it all stems from here. It stems from the filth taught here in this very schoolroom.
I was unaware that the police had any authority in matters of education.
Aye, well, we'll see about that.
Well, Kenny, there's a bit of a urban legend going around. You mentioned Britt Eklund. She was with Rod Stewart at the time, and apparently there's some missing footage, and it may in fact be down to Rod Stewart that this footage has disappeared. Do you know anything about that?
I have heard it myself, and I've also heard that she had a body double for doing the part above the pub when she was dancing.
Erotic dance.
Yes. Which I only saw when I managed to see the film when I was in my 20s, I think it would be. But yeah, I heard that as well.
Any ideas about what happened to the missing footage? You don't have it under the bed, do you?
No, I don't. No.
So you said you were about 20 when you finally seen the film.
I was in my 20s.
Yep. So what were your views on that then? Finally getting to see it.
I enjoyed it, but I enjoyed it. It's funny because I enjoyed it more later on when I saw it, because it started off as very much a sort of B movie. From what I've heard, it cost them £500,000 to make, which is, even in these days, that was quite cheap. You know, it was but it had a good cast. It had a top class cast, you know, and but at the time it was going to be a B movie, and but I was too young to see the premiere, unfortunately, when it was held in Newton Stewart.
That would have been interesting, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would have been good, yeah.
Put produce to the gods and slaughtered animals. But in bad years, when the harvest had been poor, the sacrifice was a human being.
Rowan's not dead.
Getting back to the cast and who you met and who you got on with, Edward Woodward, what were your thoughts about him?
Well, I remember him from the Carlin days, which going way back, must have been the 60s, I think. He was on the telly. It was one of my favourite programmes.
Sheep, have you any wool? Yes sir, 3 bags full.
Callan.
Yeah.
So it was one of your favourites when you were growing up?
It was, I remember watching it. In the days you'd only sort of 2-3 channels and that was it.
It'd be black and white as well, probably, wasn't it?
I think it was, yeah. I remember getting the television and it said colour on the front of it, you know. But it was not exactly starstruck, but I thought, oh, he's a famous guy. I didn't know Diane Sorrento so much. And I heard of Britt Eklund. I knew
Christopher Lee.
Christopher Lee, yeah, I knew him from.
Did you see any of the Hammer horrors or anything like that?
I wasn't supposed to, you know, at that age, but I'd heard about it when I'd seen something.
So Kenny, you said it's the film is set in May, the harvest time, but it was in fact shot in winter. So when exactly was that?
There was a delay in the filming, so it was actually shot. It would be early winter, October, November time. So it was starting to get really cold, and of course there wasn't any apple blossom in the trees. So all the trees and the blossom was false. So they had to set that up to do the proper dress rehearsals.
And what was that? Was it plastic trees or how did they go about that?
It was like, I think it was plastic with, they were
painted leaves and painted flowers.
They were very good for what I could see in the film. They were very lifelike.
Not from the technical side.
If you got close, they wouldn't look as.
Of course.
You know.
There's no HD in those days.
No. And also to save showing the breath when it was so cold, some of the actors had to chew in ice cubes, you know.
Oh, right.
their mouths were cold so that it wouldn't show up in the warm breath. You know.
Ah, right. Did
So
you
we
ever
check it
see?
out.
Did you ever see the finished version of the actual Wicker Man? And if you did, what were your thoughts on the actual structure and the size of it?
I actually loved it when I saw it the first time I saw it, and I've grown to love it more as I've seen it, you know. But when
No, I don't mean the film. I mean the actual statue, the actual figure of the Wicker Man.
the figure, aye.
You did see that,
Eh?
the completed giant figure.
I didn't see.
You didn't see that?
Didn't see that
Right.
in real life. I obviously saw it in the film, but the locals were involved in that. They had like the goats, the chickens. They would hire them out to the film.
Mm-hmm.
So that they were obviously there was no animal cruelty. They made sure that the animals were safe, but they got the local farmers and that to give them straw and the animals for the.
Did the local
the
farmers
season.
charge them a pretty penny for it?
I don't know how much they were charged, but
Kenny, in the new book, North Edinburgh Nightmares, there is a story set in New Haven Harbour, a small close-knit fishing community that's very similar to Summerisle. It's where you've lived now for many years. Do you feel there's any connection between New Haven and Summerisle?
yeah, I think it's some big similarities with the small vennels, the cobbled road, the harbour. It has got a vibe. I know New Haven's now getting built up a bit with new houses, but there's the old part of the New Haven with the New Haven Main Street and stuff, which is very similar to Summerisle.
A martyr's death. You will not only have life eternal, but you will sit with the saints among the elect. Come. It is time to keep your appointment with the Wicker Man.
Aye, so I knew quite a few of the, well, 2 or 3 of the ones that were doing the scene at the Maple. They were from my class at school, and but we didn't keep in touch because of you don't have the mobile phones now anymore, you know. The violin, there was a guy playing the violin. I knew him. He was from my school as well, you know. So there was quite a few of us. It's a local community down there, you know, so it was the chances are it would be somebody from there.
Do you ever go back to the area? Do you ever go back to your old
Well, my
homes?
parents are dead now, so, but I did up until about 15, 20 years ago. I went down
A few years ago I was lucky enough to go down there and go to a few locations of the film. A few of them still exist. The exterior of the pub is still there. The interior of the pub is still exactly the same. It's a different colour, but the bar is still there. The walls are still the same. And finally, of course, I went to all that's left of the Wicker Man itself is the stubs. Well, I think that kind of wraps things up. So I'd just like to say thanks very much for your time, Kenny.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, then.